Okay, welcome everybody to Walsh Reporter's next Superstock, a live stream for August 25th. We're back with ESE Entertainment, ENTEF, CEO Conrad Vasella. Conrad, welcome back.
I'm back.
And you're coming to us where? Where are you right now?
Well, it's great. I'm here live at the European headquarters in Warsaw, Poland. So a new place, but same show. And I'm excited to give an update.
And this is where basically like, you have pretty much all the operations for the motorsports and everything else there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a robust staff here. We just moved into a new office. Maybe on the next show, I could give you guys a tour. But we're really scaling fast, and it's just so exciting to be with the team and just feed off their energy, man. They're really excited and fired up.
Excellent. So for anybody that's just tuning into our program for the first time, our goal is to bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So these are companies that are doing three things. One, going after massive multi-billion-dollar. They're at a key inflection point in their growth right now, and there is multiple catalysts built in which can ignite that stock price. And we've had already 7 stocks that have increased between 1,000% and 5,000%, a whole bunch of 5Xs and triples, doubles, etc. And ESE is actually one of our big winners of 2021. The stock. Okay, so we introduced ESE at 35 cents, I think it was last December. It was December, right? 35 cents.
Yep.
The stock rocketed to like 450. I think it was 450 was the peak, the high.
I think he went into 486.
Oh, 40. Oh my! I lost. Okay, so 486, almost $5, right? And then of course that was like March. The market, the small caps corrected. The stock, is right now it hit just below $1, dipped just below $1, and now it's starting to make a comeback. And look, I always believe, stocks either get extremely undervalued or they go from one extreme to the other. And now ESE is extreme of being undervalued. We're going to talk about that why I think it's undervalued. I'll talk about the revenues and everything else. But basically, right now it gives investors an opportunity to essentially kind of get a second bite at the apple. For anybody that missed the story on the first run up, here's an opportunity for them to kind of get on board right now. What's crazy is the company today is much, much further along than when it was at 487. So it's like, it's weird the way the markets work.
I think that's a big, statement because it's 100% true, right? We closed our financing, we have money in the till. We consistently put out great news. Revenues are driving every quarter. So
we're gonna. Before we get into all the news, like you got the Kia award, you got the NFTs, the Porsche deal, the digital motorsports acquisition. I want to get back. I want to kind of start off with which I think is the main thing that investors need to understand is, okay, so you started January, the January live stream, you stated that your goal was to exit 2021 this year at $100 million run rate. ESE would have a $100 million run rate by the end of December, which would in theory value the company at potentially $1 billion plus, which would be $10 plus stock price or more, right? Maybe even 20. Maybe well, depends. Some of the multiples are getting crazy in the eSports space right now. So you said you do 100. You've done a couple of acquisitions. You actually, you've been progressing. You have another deal that's closing or about to close, which is digital motorsports. Where are you now in terms of run rate? Where is ESE in terms of run rate?
Yeah, I think it's great for investors to understand. I wish I could move faster, and that $100 million pipeline is still there and ready to execute on. But we have to wait for the quarterly financials to come out. We have to wait for deals to close. And like I said, I wish they could close faster, but I'm not in control of that. I think everyone's going to be very excited when we release our next quarter. And in addition to that, we're well on our way to that 100 million goal. And that goal has not changed. We are going to push hard to pursue that 100 million plus revenue goal in the next 12 months. And we're well on our way. We anticipate 20 to 25 million run rate as of right now. So, you could say we're basically a quarter of the way already. And we're pressing hard. I'm telling you, our pipeline just continues to grow. And as we build credibility and we continue to deliver and win awards and all these great things, more opportunities are coming. So,
if the run rate right now, and that's including digital motorsports, you're going to be at 20 to 25.
Well, if you follow our M&A mandate, the minimum is 5 million plus in revenue and profitable. So, I mean, you guys are smart people. You could do the math.
Your M&A targets are all 5 million revenues and profitable. Minimum.
As a bare minimum.
Okay. So let's say, so we're gonna know shortly what the numbers are. I mean, we're gonna, once the deal closes and all that stuff. But okay, so assuming 25 million run rate, right? The company should be worth 10x, based on the growth, based on the sector you're in, based on all the peer group comps, everything else, right? So 250 million. So right now your market cap is 60 million. So you're trading at 25%. ESE today is trading at 25% of where it should be. So it's really ironic. You've done everything you said you'd do, and now the stock has come off since February, March. So basically, the stock is roughly at $1, and the upside right now it should be essentially trading at $4, just based on the current situation, not based on any other deals, not based on just based on what you have. It's pretty amazing. Okay. All right, so we're gonna get into the M&A pipeline, all that other stuff later, but I want to update investors, kind of some of the things you've been doing, which are the organic growth, some of the great developments. So you just got this award for the Kia campaign. Let's talk. What is this award for, and what other auto manufacturers are you involved in? I know you got Porsche, you got Kia. What is this opportunity about? Give us kind of some context of what this is, so investors can really understand like what Kia has to do with ESE.
Yeah, I mean, winning the award is obviously a huge recognition for the team, but it also shows on a global level of how the marketing world and the automotive world has accepted gamification and esports and gaming. So this trend we see, obviously with the Kia event, we ran a whole esports event and did a commercial for their launch of their new vehicle, the Kia Stinger GT. And we got globally recognized for that. What does that do? That parlays into new opportunities. We've already received several inquiries from other very large automotive manufacturers, and we're going to be executing on those deals. And then you see Porsche. This is the second year in a row with Porsche. So there's a trend with everything we're doing. We're now getting into situations where we're signing multi-year deals with big groups, conglomerates, automotive manufacturers. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to sign 2, 3, 5-year deals because that's where we're going to see the growth, the consistency, and we're going to really build that brand around that.
Okay. Now, it seems like, that ESE is really building kind of like a franchise in the motorsports. I don't know if you want to call it a niche or what have you, but it seems like that you have a pretty strong franchise. You got you got the marketing partnerships, you have this sports, you got a lot. I mean, and that's a huge market. I don't know, I don't know if it's a global market. I don't know in the U.S. if it's as well known. I mean,
oh yeah, it is,
because you got Formula One, you got all that other stuff, which is huge outside of everywhere else. In the U.S., we have, kind of maybe, I don't know, was it Grand Theft Auto or something? I don't know. But is
No, you got to look at it differently. In the US, it's absolutely massive. You have NASCAR, you know, you have Indy, you have a lot of massive, you know, motorsports events there. Obviously, Formula One's probably the biggest on a global scale. Formula E, you know, rally car events, the list goes on. But as you mentioned, and it's important to emphasize, we're creating the digital motorsports side of the business. And I mean, I would love to bring on the CEO of Digital Motorsports. This guy's absolutely fired up. He has a huge roadmap and growth plan for the next 3 to 5 years. And he makes it very clear every time I talk to him, he wants to become the #1 esports brand in digital motorsports, period. He doesn't want to be #2. He wants to be #1. And I got his back 100% because I want to be #1 too. And that whole market is for the taking for us.
You know, I think it's very interesting that, you know, I don't know if this was purposeful or not, but the esports on the motorsports side of esports, you know, that's like a great market because you have a lot of, you know, it's massive ad spending, massive sponsorships, and of course the demographic. It's very synergistic. I mean, the demographic you got, you know, it's a young demographic. I mean, everybody wants to reach that. Like Kia, why are they doing this thing? Because, you know, they want to reach kind of that esports demographic that's, you know, 18 to 25 that's going to buy their first car or whatever. You know, they want something exciting. You got Porsche, and you know, I mean, like, just like where you could see like Formula One, that I mean, I see the massive dollar amounts and the sponsor dollars are thrown around. So, pretty interesting. Okay, what about the NFT stuff? How does it, you know, you're doing this talent show? Let's talk about the talent show that you're doing with Bitcoin Vault and how that ties in with. And give us an update on, because I don't think we ever really talked about the talent show yet.
You can tell by my smile. I mean, it's been a massive success. You know, that talent show alone has generated us, you know, over 1.3 million Canadian. So it was a huge revenue jolt to our, you know, our bottom line. But, you know, people don't realize we're rolling out a talent show in Korea, China, Vietnam, Brazil. This is not a small thing, right? This is with massive international influencers, you know, with 50+ million combined followers. And it's been an absolute blast. And we just started the Japanese launch, and it really allowed us to enter into the NFT market. And we launched our NFTs, and literally within 30 minutes, we sold out. So we went back and spoke to the guys at Skills Vault and said, hey, let's do another set. Those sold out. So, I mean, you can see the smile on my face. There is something to be said there. We're going to be pushing the NFT side really hard in the next 3 to 6 months, and anticipate some more news there, because there's tremendous revenue possibilities there, and value add. And we really see the market going in that direction. You know, crypto, NFTs, you cannot turn your back to those things. I mean, it's right in our face. It's skyrocketing. So why not be a part of it?
Actually, so wait, so this the talent show. Actually, you know, we got to do like some demos and some, because we haven't done it in a while. So people need to kind of visually see what you're doing. But this show, so basically, you know, who sees it? How do you make money with it? And you've done $1.5 million from basically from just one. I don't know. Was it a season? Or how did you make?
So yeah, this is the first season of the show, and you know, that's what we've already received for that, and you know, we're going to build on it. We're already planning it for next year, but we haven't even finished this year. So we're obviously focused on this year. But I think the best thing to do is, yeah, we'll jump on with some, you know, clips and some exciting moments from the event and the show, and you know, that's the best way to kind of articulate it to the shareholders. But we're definitely going to be pursuing more of this stuff in the future.
Okay. So we're going to get to audience questions in a couple minutes, but okay. So So this shows the skills. So the skills vault. So this is it mainly the Asia market? I mean, who's the market for this?
Yeah, so we're focused on PUBG Mobile and the Asian market, but we also added LATAM with Brazil, Brazil being the largest gaming market in LATAM by a long shot. And these are our kind of pilot countries that we're rolling it out in. And then we anticipate an even larger rollout in 2022.
Okay. Let's get into some audience questions. Okay, so somebody's asking, oh, the NFT. Can you explain exactly what you're doing with the NFTs? I mean, is that going to be a big revenue generator for ESE, or is it kind of like just a little incremental type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit of a longer conversation, but a non-fungible token, and I really encourage you to go online and to go on the Bitcoin Vault website and read about it in depth. It's a little bit more complex than people think, using blockchain technology and Ethereum, but it's just an incredible opportunity to create art, to create value on the blockchain. So, like I said, a little bit of a longer conversation, but yeah, we're going to be entering into that market very strongly, and you can see, with the massive influx of prices in crypto, specifically Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's a space we want to be in.
Okay. Jeremy's asking, okay, depending on what happens, is COVID having any effect on your business model?
No, sir. I mean, we're rolling. I mean, you could see the news is just very consistent. We highlighted the fact that we're digital motorsports, which means we could operate digitally all around the world. We could scale globally. All our assets we could scale globally. The only benefit is now we could start doing events in person, so LAN events. And we actually have the largest sim racing expo in the world in Germany coming up in September. So fingers crossed, there's no influx in COVID and we could execute on that big expo in September.
Okay. When is the next quarterly earnings coming out?
You got to call our CFO and ask him. But I'm bugging him all the time. He's probably sick of hearing my phone calls because I'm excited to share with shareholders. But we anticipate in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
So sometime in September, hopefully.
September. Okay. Vincent is asking, okay, so the acquisition you did in January, this Encore, it goes by a couple names, right? So he says that business is doing 14.4 million in revenues, and it's got the margins are slim. So he's asking, what are you doing to increase your margins?
Fantastic question, and I love the detail and the fact that you dug into that. That's where we saw the opportunity. So they had slimmer margins, as you can see, but we believe that in our ecosystem, once we brought them into the ESE ecosystem, that was our value add. We could scale that margin and increase revenue. So we're really excited. We've been working with the team diligently and planning out a roadmap of how to consistently increase that margin every quarter and get leaner and drive revenues on top of that.
How long do you think it's going to take to what's the game plan? Like how big do you anticipate the margins to get, and how long is it going to take to get it? Like when can investors expect to see that? Like how many quarters? It's not going to happen immediately. It's not going to happen right away. It's going to happen probably 2 quarters, 3 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, the exciting part is a big portion of the business is profitable, even with tight margins. But we're obviously reinvesting in the business and we're allocating capital to growth portions of the business. But at the end of the day, we want to get margins in that 20 to 30% range as fast as possible. And ultimately, the goal, if we could get there in 2022, That's one of our internal goals. I'm still a firm believer on not only revenue, but profit. And I've been saying that like a broken record from day one. And that's why we continue to go after accretive acquisitions that are profitable and staying away from big cash burners and fat companies, because it just doesn't make sense for us.
Okay, so I think so. So the idea, I guess, maybe worth emphasizing is that when you talk about, $100 million run rate, that includes profitability is part of that equation, right? It's not just to have revenues, right?
We don't believe in that model. We're not going to bring on revenue just to have revenue. We want both. We want to build a great sustainable company. And how do you do that? You have both revenue and profit. And that's the ultimate goal. And we're going to continue to work on that day in and day out to get to that point.
Okay. Kevin's asking, how about a quick update on Kick, and which is your esports team? Maybe just for anybody that's new, maybe tell us what Kick is and what's happening with Kick.
Yeah, Kick is our professional esports team. If you guys follow their social media channels, it's just the way it's spelled, K1CK. You can see a lot of the updates, but we just announced our new Apex team, I think last week. We still have our FIFA team, and our League of Legends team started the season. And we're going into the spring series portion of that coming up in, I believe, a month or so. So it's at full swing. Like typically, September onwards to the end of the year is when you really see an uptick on the esports side. So you'll see a lot more activity from us as it pertains to Kick and the esports side.
Okay. Okay. So the good news is we're actually getting a lot of revenue questions that people are asking details now, which is an indicator that the company actually has revenues, which is important. Okay. So he's asking about year-over-year revenue comparisons, 20 to 21. I think it's a little bit early because 2020 was kind of almost like a start. That was like the launch phase. I think next year, I think it's probably a year away from making comparisons.
Yeah, and I think that's where we have to educate shareholders too, is there needs to be an element of patience, because we're consolidating financials via our acquisitions. So you'll see that revenue being put on the books, quarter after quarter. So you'll see the growth, and as you mentioned, you'll have a very clear view realistically in 2022 after some really solid quarters, and then you could really extrapolate that data and make more of a broader assumption of where we're heading, right?
Yeah, I think that type of growth rate, that like incremental growth. The company is not in the incremental growth phase. It's like right now it's quantum growth phase. Maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, people will be able to make comparisons. Okay, you're up 50% over last quarter. Right now, your quarters might be showing 500% over last. It's not even in this, but so this is again, what I mentioned, I think at the start of the live stream, is like, we're focused on finding companies that are at that inflection point where all the massive growth takes place. So, and this is how we've had all these stocks that have been up, 1,000%, 2,000, 5,000%. Because we find them right before they explode in terms of revenues or deal flow, whatever it is, and that's where all the value creation is taking place between now and probably the next 9 to 12 months. That's the juicy part. After that, it's going to be more probably incremental. That's what I think. I don't know. But I think the main part, like the big money, could be made right now for investors. I think that this is.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Jack. If any of us could go back and invest in Apple at the beginning, what would you do, right? So this is the juicy part, right? This is the time to get in.
This is the point
when we're in the hyper growth phase.
Yeah, this is the point where the stock can go up 10x. It can go from $1 to $10. 18 months from now, once let's say you have that 100 million. I don't know. I'm not saying you're not going to go to 200 or 300, but at that point the stock is probably not going to go from $10 to $100. It might go to $20, but it's not going to go. It's not going to be 10x that quickly. Here is the fast, that massive. But anyway, so let's go into. We're getting a lot of good questions. I hope you have time. What is it? Is it like 8 o'clock where you are? 8 p.m.
It's getting close, 7:30, but
okay. We'll keep you here. We'll keep you here for a little bit longer. Okay, so we talked about kick. We're getting a lot of good questions coming in. This guy's asking some good questions. A lot of detail stuff. Good due diligence. Okay. Will there be any raises made by ESE to get to that 100 million run rate? In other words, are you going to need to do any additional capital raises to fund some of these acquisitions that you have, in this pipeline right now? And how far can you go? Yeah, basically, how far can you go with what you have on hand? Great question.
Yeah, no. Once again, great question, and I love the details. So we strategically raised that 8.6 million because we knew that was going to allow us to execute on digital motorsports and potentially more acquisitions that are going to happen this year. We don't anticipate raising, but if an opportunity arises that we need to jump on, we obviously have to look at opportunities all the time. And if we need to raise and it makes sense for shareholders and we're not diluting and we're growing as a company, I mean, we have to execute on that. But believe me, if you follow all my capital raises, I'm always conscious of shareholders. I'm taking less, not more, because I know we want to stay lean and we want to keep the structure tight. So nothing's changing from that perspective. I'm not going to raise money for the sake of raising money. We're going to raise money to have hyper growth. That's what excites me.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I have to say is, I mean, like there's the recent capital raise you did. I mean, you probably could have done, you could have raised 20 million in theory. There's a lot of money out there, but so no, it's good. The stock is still, it's very tight, and it moves. It really, like, one of the things about the stock is, again, there's that element of volatility. It doesn't take a lot to move the stock. I mean, there's a stock that could be, $3 overnight. I mean, we've seen that happen in December. It still has that same structure. Interesting question. So, we saw, what is it? Score Group, in Canada, they were just bought for what, a couple $1 billion, right? And they only had, I think, 20 million revenues, right? 20 million, 25?
I don't know the exact number, but it was around that
100x, 100x,
and 2 billion by Penn Gaming. And another great question. I look at all hyper growth opportunities, and when I see deals being made like that, 100x, 2 billion, I mean, it's something we have to look at as a company and for shareholders. And not to mention, I do have a history in that sector, and I'm very comfortable with the iGaming sector, sports betting, etc. So it's something we always have an eye on, but I've also made it clear, if we enter that space, it's going to be done the right way, and we're going to go big. We're not going to Mickey Mouse it.
It's interesting because you have this kind of like, again, it seems to me, I might be wrong, but right now you really have, kind of like a franchise position or a dominant position in the motorsports kind of space, right? So would that be, if you do decide to do, would it make sense to start off with maybe, betting on, motorsports, racing? Because it's a huge market, and as it is.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, look at some of the biggest sponsors of F1 and a lot of the racing events, right? I mean, that's a huge tie-in. Even crypto, I mean, crypto.com, they just did a massive partnership with F1. So betting, iGaming, crypto, etc., are a natural fit in motorsports and digital motorsports.
Okay. Hey, Conrad, do you have I think we got the sunlight is starting. The sun is starting to go down. What is it not? Because I see it's getting. Do you have a light on? Because otherwise it might get dark. I mean, do you have a light in your office or?
Yeah.
Because it looks like you have natural light. It's okay. There we go. I don't want to lose you. There we go. Okay. All right.
Hey, listen. when I played football, the top scouts in the world would always say, we're looking for a guy that's first in the office and the last to leave. And I pride myself on that. And that's what I'm bringing to shareholders. I'm here till the sun comes down, and we're busting our butt here. So, and the results are coming in. You can see them.
Okay, so you're gonna be at that office for the next month or so. So maybe next time you're on, we can get like a tour, hopefully during like work hours, before, so let's see. Let me see if we can get to a couple more questions.
Hopefully, I'll be able to bring on some special guests as well, because I think when you see the energy of some of the other guys on our team, it's just going to give you that conviction of where we're going. I mean, we are more, use the word all in than ever on this. I mean, we know where this is going. It's a $1 billion+ opportunity, a generational opportunity. And I'm going to keep saying that. And when we get there, you could look back and watch these videos. We're going to $1 billion+. Look at my face. We're doing it.
I tell you, it's one of the things that we kind of see happening in this space that you're. I mean, there's a couple of, you're kind of touching a couple of areas. One is you got this esports space, which is again massive. This is like the biggest. That's like the new form of entertainment, for kind of the next generation. It's kind of the what is it? Is it Gen Z now, Gen Y, whatever it's the millennials, right? So they've moved from social media, as that was like the dominant form of, I don't know, maybe entertainment, what have you, to esports gaming is the huge thing now. So there's massive change coming in, and you got what else? You got the motorsports. There's just a lot of tailwinds coming in here. Question. Oh, I saw a question about Rick Brace, who you brought on to the company. Okay, so what actually would it be possible? Just for anybody that doesn't know who he is, and maybe he's new, tell us who he is, what is his role with ESE.
Yeah, we're getting some high quality questions today. So I'm just as excited as you are to bring him on. So we brought him on a few months ago. He's officially a director of ESE. Rick is the former president of Rogers, one of the biggest companies in all of Canada, one of the biggest publicly listed companies in all of Canada on the TSX. And what he brings is, quite frankly, everything. Experience, real know-how of building a multi-billion-dollar company, production experience, building companies from the ground up, scale. And, for me, as a mentor and as someone I could lean on, it's absolutely priceless, because it's not coming from a place of, not knowing. He's done it himself. He's executed this himself. I'm sure he sees certain things that we're doing that are in line with some of the things that he's done in the past, and he could accelerate our growth by making sure we don't make the same mistakes. When you're in a similar industry for 30, 40 years, he's going to help us accelerate that much faster, because we don't have to make those small mistakes. But he's very active. So that's very exciting for me. A lot of directors are passive. He's not. He's very active. I was on the phone with him literally yesterday, and it was a great call. He's really fired up. He's excited, and he always gets me very excited. He always lights a fire under my butt, so I'm excited to have him on board.
So ESE actually, you really have a couple of there's a couple of different business units, which we have to kind of explain. You have the this actually ties into kind of where I think where Rick is going to add value is, okay, you have the kick, you got the esports team, you got the esports teams, right? You have the infrastructure business. Yeah, so you have multiple components. So really, in a way, I mean, ESE is kind of like, if somebody wants to make a bet on the esports sector, it's kind of a pure play. You're getting access to a couple of different, but they're all related. And so, it's actually very similar to what we saw happen with what's that stock? EGLX. you're kind of following a similar business model. And that stock, what I lost track of, but I think that was like a 10 bagger plus recently. I think that stock hit.
I mean, they did a phenomenal job when the market was hot. I mean, I believe they hit $11 plus and $1 billion plus market cap on roughly around 100-ish million, which is very similar to what we want to do. So that's a proven case study that we can do it, and the multiples are realistic. So it's a great comparable. But with our competitive nature, we obviously want to be better and leaner and even bigger than they are.
So inside of ESE, there's really a bunch of really potentially billion-dollar opportunities, right? So you have the Kick team, right? So these teams, and this is one of the first things we talked about, when we first came on the show, was the possibilities in these esports teams. It's kind of like the esports today is more popular than NFL, the NBA, baseball, all that stuff. I mean, there's more people watching these live esports. There's more people viewing esports, not even just playing, but viewing tournaments and everything else than watching major sporting events. And this is kind of a business that you're involved in. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on. To address this question from Vincent, are you going to be doing more in North America with Kick? Because Kick is based in Europe, right? They're primarily a European.
Yeah, it's predominantly Europe, and most of the tournaments are Europe, but we're already entering into larger scale global tournaments. And our FIFA team participates in US based tournaments, so already global, and that's the beauty of esports. It's a global opportunity because it's online, and with COVID, it's actually shifted even more so online, which allows us to scale even faster. So a lot of these tournaments are being held online, and we've been executing and entering into these larger tournaments. We had a couple of press releases about us entering into global tournaments in Apex, European-wide League of Legends tournaments, EU Masters. So absolutely, forget about North America. We're going global with Kick. And to Jack's point, absolutely. I mean, it's the same reason Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, is invested. Michael Jordan is invested. The list goes on. All these big traditional sports club owners are also investing into esports clubs because it's the new generation of franchises.
Okay. Okay. So this is, I guess, a comment or a question. Okay. So this guy is saying, okay, 100 million revenue won't be. I think what he's saying is, if you do 100 million, it doesn't mean that you're going to be $1 billion valuation, unless member companies continue. I think what he's asking is, I think the point I think he's making is, okay, are these the companies you brought in, do they have organic growth? But actually, I think before that, let me just make a comment, which is what the market really would pay 10x for is the velocity of ESE getting to that 100 million. So, if ESE goes from, 25 million run rate right now to, $100 million run rate by, January, February even, right? Or even let's say it takes till March. Oh my God, it's gonna take 3 months longer, right? So let's say it takes till March to get to 100 million run rate. I think the market would definitely pay up and give you 10x because of the velocity, that growth to get to and then obviously they can extrapolate, which is exactly what's happened with EGLX. I mean, EGLX is essentially a roll-up of various. I mean, so the market paid for that rapid growth, and then of course after that, you do have to deliver organic growth and everything, which this guy is correct. But the first step is getting to that 100 million. After that, that's going to be your next challenge, is going to be to squeeze out organic growth.
And just follow the story. The organic growth is there. And as we bring in more of these synergistic acquisitions, we're bringing in specific groups that add value to the existing business. So it perpetuates the organic growth. Synergies are extremely important to us, and bringing in the right groups. That's why I said the strategy on the M&A side is not just all about revenue. What can these groups bring to the existing group? Will it help the existing group scale that much faster? You know, we're looking at those metrics. So like Jack said, we could really accelerate that much faster and get that hyper growth.
So again, so look, there's a lot of, I think maybe I'm thinking maybe there's probably a lot of, cross marketing opportunities between some of the acquisitions you're making, and you already have, for example, these partnerships, these branding partnerships with, Porsche, with Kia, which you can bring to, I don't know, other companies you're bringing in that motorsport, maybe the digital motorsports side. There's a lot of cross marketing opportunities in what you're doing, which I think is probably where you're going to squeeze out some of that value.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Synergistic opportunities that are coming from these groups that we're acquiring.
Okay, I don't know. Some guys, I don't know if is he saying anything dirty here, or I think it's important. is this family friendly comment? I don't know.
I don't even know what language. Pardon me, but I actually don't know the language. I know one thing. My name's on there, and it says gang. So,
Well, I think it might be. It sounds like Norwegian. Oh, you know what? I thought it's not. It's not Polish. It's like could be like Norwegian or something. Yeah, it sounds like this guy. Is this guy Norwegian? It sounds like a Norwegian thing. I don't know. Whatever.
I like it. That means
whatever.
Hey.
I think he's just saying buy ESC. That's what he's saying in Norwegian.
But what does that tell you? We're global. We got guys viewing from all over the world. There's your answer to all the questions. Even on Wall Street Reporter, we just went global. Who else is posting in different languages on the show?
It's interesting that, by the way, these I think that, I just found this out again. Like, I'm not really that up on. I don't really follow sports in general that much, but motorsports is again, I'm not. But from what I understand, the motorsports, I guess, to give an idea of like the massive, how big this opportunity is, I think the top guys, the drivers, just Formula One, I think these guys are making 75 million euros, not dollars, euros a year. Like, who's the number one guy? Is it Lance Hamilton, right? The Mercedes guy?
It's unbelievable. I remember when Michael Schumacher was driving for Ferrari, he was the top paid guy for, I don't know, call it 10 years. I mean, for all sports across the board. But that shows you the opportunity. I highly recommend for all viewers, and I'm sure everybody has Netflix, to jump on and watch the new F1 show. And it shows the crossover and how important digital motorsports is for these drivers. Digital motorsports sim racing is a major part of their career and the way they train before they go on the track. So it's a great series on Netflix, and you'll probably end up just clicking to the next episode. It's a good one from an education standpoint, but it shows you the opportunity to invest in a group like ESE and digital motorsports.
And okay, so we have somebody from Finland. There we go. We got a global following here. And that, by the way, is this guy? I think we were kind of the other day we were talking about this guy, Nico Rosberg. I think this guy. I came across this guy's YouTube channel. He was doing an interview with somebody, so this guy was a Formula F1 racer, right? I think he retired. He's like a young guy. I think he retired at like top of the game. And what was so his big thing he's got this YouTube channel where he has like 1 million followers, 1 million subscribers, which is a little bit bigger than Wall Street Reporter. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, this guy's got 1 million subscribers. But his big thing is he does these. Well, I guess people watch because he's like in Monte Carlo. He's got this very glamorous lifestyle, whatever. But he's into a car, like it's some crazy stuff. But he does a thing where he does these sim racing, a virtual. What do you call it? I think I sent you a link. He's basically. I think a lot of these guys are getting into the esports thing. Is almost as challenging as the real thing. This guy takes it very seriously.
No, I know exactly the video you're talking about. You should share that on your link because it's so interesting, and it's actually exactly one of the things that we provide from a technology standpoint. We do a lot of the 3D track scanning, and we implement that into a game. So when he's racing around in the city, that's one of the parts of the business that we do, right? We scan city landscapes and actual real tracks and implement them into games. So that's a great example, and you should share that with the viewers. It's a great insight into not only how big it is, but how cool it is. So I think you'll see digital motorsports is really cool.
Yeah, no, this is like it's I think probably a lot of these guys, a lot of this is going to like switch to it's happening now. I mean, a lot of the basically the viewers are just as excited to watch the digital motorsports as they are to watch I mean, they make it very, I don't know, it's very real. They make it just as, yeah, people should definitely check it out. And they'll understand what I'm talking. Otherwise, it's like, just too much.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into some great. I think we should wrap it up. Okay, one of my favorite questions. Okay, what's the game? 4 months. That's 4 months is a lifetime, but
Yeah.
4 months. I guess he's talking about till the end of the year, which is we're already in September, right? So, what's the game plan for the end of the year? And is there, Rahul? I should hire you because you're asking all my questions. So, what the news flow is there till between now and end of the year?
As you can see, we're super active with news. We're going to continue that same trajectory as it pertains to news. We're going to keep putting out news week after week, quality pieces of news, and that are really just going to tell the story. So when you ask what are we doing over the next 4 months, we're doing a lot, and you're going to see it. Follow the story, follow the news, and it's going to paint a really nice picture. In addition to having those revenue numbers coming out, which is going to further paint a picture of how fast we're moving and accelerating. And that's the best way to really put it is we're so active with news. You don't have to wait 4 months. It's going to come every week.
Okay, and in terms of M&A activity, we could expect to see some things happen.
Follow the news.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So what are the questions do we have here for you? Okay, so basically the M&A thing, I think, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the organic stuff is great right now, but I think I should say really the big story is how fast and how far can ESE really scale up with this esports business. Like if you can get to this 100 million with all these deals that you're doing in the next couple of months, let's call it 6 months. Let's say it takes you till March, because it always takes, just because there's also all sorts of, even though you want to close, then you're able to close, but sometimes there's people, I don't know, they're on vacation, they get sick or whatever. There's lawyers, there's the accountants, there's like there's a lot of parties involved. So I think would it be fair to say that is kind of the main focus, is to hit that 100 million milestone, and then the rest is going to be the next story?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very consistent. I've said it from the beginning. I wish I could go faster. I'm pushing my team as hard as I can, but we also have to be conscious of shareholders and do it the right way. So if it takes an extra few months, that's just the reality of it. But it doesn't change the philosophy and how hard we're working, putting in the extra hours and getting things done. I just can't move any faster, quite frankly.
Okay, so which should translate into some positive news, hopefully next couple of weeks. So Conrad, on that note, I want to thank you. It's been a while since we had you on, so you've delivered. You had some substantive news, some developments, and let's kind of follow up in the next I don't know, 2 weeks. Early September, we'll have you back. Hopefully, there's going to be some exciting developments by then, and more Q&A, global, from the global audience here.
I love it. Sweden too. Here we go.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next live stream.